you guys know better than I do that there is panic running through Ohio State, Buckeye Nation. I heard the news yesterday, and immediately in a non-related live stream, there was all sorts of talk and chest beating and pumping from Michigan fans and Ohio State fans worried. One Jordan Marshall, running back out of Cincinnati Moeller, has chosen Michigan. He is a hard commit. He is not the only one. We've got a couple interior linemen earlier in the recruiting process for the 24 cycle who have chosen Michigan. Of course, they've not signed. That doesn't happen until December, and things happen. But Steve, we'll start with you. Whether you want to take the granular or the big picture view on this one, Ohio State versus Michigan recruiting.
Well, yeah, I think the news came down. It was a bit of a shock yesterday afternoon. I don't know that this was forewarned for anybody that he was ready to pop or that it was going to be Michigan. I think that was a big shocker and a surprise, I think, to a lot of people. I think people down in Cincinnati felt that Ohio State was the team to beat. And, as you have it right there, number 91 national overall player, number 7 running back, he is, one of the top players in Ohio for the 2024 class. So, yeah, this is quite a get for Jim Harbaugh. It sounds like Mike Hart, the running backs coach for Michigan, really did a great job recruiting Marshall. I'm not sure that this is an indictment of Tony Alford, although with the knee-jerk reaction of fans, every action must have a commensurate reaction in the other direction 10 times as bad. So, I don't know that this is the referendum on Tony Alford that everyone thinks it might be. Ohio State still got some pretty good running backs in their own right, and I don't think that this is the end of the world. But obviously, the success that Blake Corum had at running back for Michigan this past year, Hassan Haskins the year before, Michigan's committed to running the football, obviously. And I think that may have played a part. Not to say that Ohio State isn't committed to running it, because I think that's still a major tenet of the Ohio State offense, no doubt, is to establish the run every game, every opponent that they play against. And some games they're successful, and then at the end of the season, when you have no running backs left because you've beat them all up, you're not quite as successful. So I don't know. I don't look at it as the end of the world, but at the same time, it is definitely notable. A guy Ohio State had offered and a guy Ohio State wanted, unlike the 2 linemen that you had referenced. I don't believe Ohio State had offered either of them, but they definitely offered Jordan Marshall. So this one does kind of cut across the bow a little bit.
Yeah, I think the timing was a surprise, but our Alex Gleitman on Buckeye Huddle had mentioned recently that it was looking like Michigan for Jordan Marshall. And the thing is, I can't really blame him when you look at what Michigan has done running the ball. They could be losing both of their top guys after this season, so that he could be running into a situation as a true freshman competing for a starting job. If Donovan Edwards decides to leave after this year, or obviously Blake Corum is gone, but either way, he's being set up to possibly start his first or second year. So that's enticing. And as Steve said, with the way they've run it with Haskins and Corum both, like they will wear a guy down. They will, if you want to run the ball 30 times, if you have the ability to carry it, they will give it to you. And you look at what Ohio State has coming back. They just had a true freshman running back rush for 500 yards last year. So like he's going to be part of that future. And I think it's a easier, quicker path to playing time at Michigan, but also a quicker path to a lot of work. And that's something that, some running backs like. And I know you posted his stats. Didn't look like he had, I don't know if he was injured this past year or what, but, so be interesting to see how he does there. And, Ohio State's still in on plenty of running backs. I guess they're heating up with one of the nation's best. And I believe James Peoples out of San Antonio, Texas, the number 5 running back, top 100 player. I know there's some buzz there. And there's still another Ohio kid that Ohio State is very much in on in the running back position as well. So I think they'll still end up with the two that they want to. They'll end up with two. They should. But Tony Alford missing out on running backs last year, and then completely missing out on running backs last year in the 2023 class, and then to have this start, it's not nothing. I think it's a little bit of a concern, but I think it's not time for panic yet until you see other Ohio kids that Ohio State wants, like Aaron Scott at corner and Bryce West at Cleveland Glenville corner. Like if those guys start going to Michigan, then you can really start the panic alarm.
Yeah, I was headed in the same direction as you, Tony, after I posted these numbers to say, well, they wear him down at Michigan in the running back room, but my goodness, he looks like he's pretty fresh. And I don't know what the injury situation could have been in 2023, but only about 40 some carries.
I don't think that's right.
Touchdowns.
It looks
That's
to
what I'm
me
getting from Max Preps.
in
So
the story that I'm looking at here on 24/7 says he was the Gatorade Player of the Year in the state as a junior, rushed for 1,951 yards and 30 touchdowns, and caught 19 passes and 4 touchdowns. His junior year would have been this past season, because he's going to be a senior coming up in the fall. So I'm not sure where those numbers came from. Maybe that's from a previous year. I don't know. And not only that, his numbers are on GMC Sports. It's really good. Some of the leagues here in Ohio, the big one in Dayton, the big public school league in Cincinnati, and the Catholic league in Cincinnati, those three in particular, somebody got all those people involved at each of those schools and posting their stats game by game. So GMC Sports would have his exact stats for every year that he's ever played on the varsity at Moeller. So down to game by game. I mean, it's crazy. I wish every high school in the country had the same web outfit that set up those three leagues, because we'd be a much better world with that.
well, thank you for checking me. I think Max Preps gave up after 3 games, because that looks like about 14 carries per game. It's the 2022/23 season, so that is last season in which I pulled those stats, but they've got 3 games played.
It's a great resource and everything. I don't understand why we can't get a national edict that everybody posts their stuff on there. I don't get it. They have the scores usually, but that's about it. So yeah, it'd be nice if
I just checked GMC Sports, but Moeller is not part of the GMC, so they're not listed.
Oh, not GMC, it's GCL. I apologize.
Okay.
GCL Sports, Greater Catholic League.
We'll have to check that.
GCL Sports. I got to think the 1951 is legitimate. I don't know how deep Moeller went in the playoffs, because I know Springfield was the team that came out of that area, but they may have gone pretty deep. So,
Couple other recruiting notes. You guys
1951,
referenced this,
sorry.
Steve, you did. Luke Hamilton, interior offensive lineman out of Avon. Ted Hammond out of St. Xavier, Cincinnati. Top 15 players in the state of Ohio, both interior. Well, Hamilton on the offensive side, Hammond on the defensive side. Not interested, Ohio State?
Well, Ohio State had Hamilton in their camp and, didn't offer him. They had other offensive linemen that day, and they did. I mean, but potentially they still might. I mean, you never know. I mean, the kid can't sign until this middle of December, so that's 9 months away. So, I doubt he's going to come to Ohio State's camp. Marshall, I can't imagine Ohio State's going to let up on him. I think they're going to stay after him, because he's a really talented player. So I don't know. Michigan throughout its years, their best teams have had Ohio guys that kind of went away from that here in the last 10 years. And really in the first half of the Harbaugh regime really didn't pay Ohio never mind. But now they're feeling their oats a little bit. And they're like, well, hey, we've got a roadmap. We've got ways. We know how to get the Moeller and Olentangy Orange and Cleveland Glenville. And, Huber Heights Wayne has always been a big Michigan sympathizer bar, and so has Youngstown, one of the ones out there, Harding, or I don't know, one of those schools out there in the Mahoning Valley has always been a big Michigan sympathizer as well. So I don't know.
Ursuline.
Yeah, Ursuline or somebody. We'll see if they can put their tentacles back down in Ohio.
Well, the thing is, also, as you said, Steve, Jim Harbaugh didn't really get into Ohio recruiting in his first few years at Michigan, and he would have been battling Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama, was getting in there,
Kentucky, Notre Dame.
and Kentucky. And the thing is, remember the satellite camps that they used to do where they would offer and get commitments from random 2-star kids that they liked at camp rather than really fighting and going after national prospects. And so then they'd have they're top heavy in terms of their recruiting. And then they had to have these bottom guys that shouldn't be playing at Michigan and never ended up playing at Michigan and just occupied roster spots. And so, it was about a few years ago, they finally started to go. Maybe it was with the departure of Urban, when I don't know if that matches up, but when they finally started to get back into Ohio. But it was foolish of them not to stay strong in Ohio and keep working in Ohio, because Michigan's never been anything without Ohio players. And so it's smart of them to get back into it.